LeBron James.
Why?
He play like me. Because he play like me. And I tell you what, we don't start playing till we get hit. So I'm gonna say LeBron James. And you know what? Let the debate begin. And I don't give a rat's ass that they do. I just telling you who I would like. That's all.
I said that LeBron will. I find him to be the most talented player I've ever seen in NBA history. Got a problem with that statement by me?
Karl Malone just broke his silence, and LeBron James might not like what he heard. The Mailman didn't hold back, questioning everything LeBron's built his legacy on. "You never earned this," Malone said, words that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. What sparked this brutal call-out? Why now? And what does this mean for LeBron's carefully crafted image as the game's greatest? This isn't just another old school versus new school debate. This is personal. This is about respect, legacy, and whether LeBron's throne was built on talent or hype.
Have fun with this. It's I said, okay, here. I said this. I think LeBron is the most talented player to ever play the game.
I know what you said. Go ahead.
Okay, so you know what? I said it. If you want to argue it, it's fine. I got to see Wilt play and Oscar play. I got to see Dr. J. I got to see Mike. Got to see you. I got to see LeBron. So, I at least have a base to be able to argue or discuss. It was just fun. It was your all-time starting five. Obviously, you have a problem with Jordan. He took a championship away from you. I understand it.
The basketball world woke up to chaos in early January 2025. Karl Malone, a man who stayed relatively quiet since hanging up his jersey, decided it was time to speak. And when the mailman delivers, the package always arrives. But this time, it wasn't a no-look pass or a thunderous dunk. It was a direct shot at the king himself, LeBron James. During a recent sit-down that hasn't hit mainstream media yet, Malone didn't dance around his words. He looked straight into the camera and said something that's been echoing through every barbershop, every sports bar, and every comment section since. "You never earned this." 3 words. That's all it took to ignite a firestorm that's still burning. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear about who's talking here. This isn't some random retired player looking for attention. This is Karl Malone, the second highest scorer in NBA history, a 2-time MVP, and a guy who dragged his team to the finals multiple times without forming a super team. When Karl Malone questions your legacy, people listen. Because love him or hate him, the man knows what it takes to dominate at the highest level. Social media absolutely exploded. Within hours, the clips started circulating on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. LeBron fans immediately went on the defensive, calling Malone bitter, jealous, ringless. But the old school crowd, they were nodding their heads. They'd been thinking it for years. Malone just had the guts to say it out loud. The timing couldn't be more interesting either. LeBron just became the NBA's all-time leading scorer, cementing another milestone in his already historic career. He's in the conversation as the greatest of all time. His name is mentioned alongside Jordan, Kareem, Magic. So why would Karl Malone choose this moment to strike? What's really going on here?
Now, would you rather have Jordan as your teammate or LeBron James?
LeBron James.
Why?
He play like me. Because he play like me. And I tell you what, we don't start playing till we get hit. So I'm gonna say LeBron James. And you know what? Let the debate begin. And I don't give a rat's ass that they do. I just telling you who I would like. That's all.
I said that LeBron will. I find him to be the most talented player I've ever seen in NBA history.
To understand why these words hit so hard, you have to understand the history. Not just between Karl and LeBron, but between their generations. Karl Malone came into the league in 1985. This was the era of bad boy Pistons, physical defense, and zero shortcuts to greatness. You got punched in the face, you got back up. You lost in the playoffs, you came back stronger next year. There was no calling your buddies to team up in South Beach. Malone spent 19 seasons with the same organization, becoming the face of a franchise that never quite got over the hump. 2 finals appearances, 2 losses to Michael Jordan, no championship ring. And that's the ammunition people use against him to this day. Ringless Karl. It's the one stain on an otherwise flawless resume. But here's the thing. Malone never ran. He never demanded a trade. He never orchestrated a super team. He stayed loyal, put up legendary numbers, and competed every single night. That's the code he lived by. That's the standard he held himself to. Now enter LeBron James, the chosen one, the kid who had the world handed to him before he even played a single NBA game. Nike deals, magazine covers, national TV games, all before he turned 20. The pressure was immense, sure, but so were the privileges. LeBron grew up in a different NBA, a league where players had more power than ever before. And LeBron used that power. In 2010, he left his hometown team on national television to join two other superstars in Miami. The decision was the moment everything changed. It wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about controlling the narrative, picking your teammates, and manufacturing championships. To guys like Karl Malone, that was blasphemy. You don't get to choose your path to greatness. You earn it where you're planted. But LeBron? He rewrote the rules, and for a generation of old-school players, that's a wound that never fully healed. Over the years, Malone has made subtle digs at the modern game. He's called it soft. He's questioned the toughness of today's players. He's hinted that load management is just a fancy word for being weak. But he's never directly called out LeBron by name, until now. So what changed? Why now?
Jazz Hall of Famer joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Carl, I said earlier that I thought LeBron James is the most talented player that I've ever seen in NBA history. I don't know if you have a thought on that, but if you do, I'd like to hear it.
Oh, my, you're so gracious, Dan.
Thank you,
And
Carl.
let me answer that for you. I think LeBron James is the most talented player that I've ever seen. And the reason being, sometimes you hear people make a statement, but they don't back.
Let's break down exactly what Karl Malone said, because context matters. This wasn't some off-the-cuff remark caught on a hot mic. This was deliberate, calculated. Malone sat down for an interview in early January 2025, and when the conversation turned to LeBron's legacy, he didn't hold back. "You never earned this," Malone said, staring directly into the camera. "You don't get to call yourself the greatest when you hand-picked every team you played for. That's not greatness, that's convenience." He didn't stop there. "In my era, you didn't get to choose your championships. You didn't call up your friends and say, hey, let's all meet in Miami and win some rings. You stayed where you were drafted. You built something. You fought through the tough times. That's what separated the legends from the pretenders." Malone specifically took issue with the super team era, calling it a shortcut to legacy. He pointed out that LeBron has played with multiple Hall of Famers throughout his career: Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Anthony Davis. Meanwhile, Malone's best teammate for most of his career was John Stockton, a great player but not a dominant physical force. But here's where it gets even crazier, because what Karl said next might be the most disrespectful part of the entire interview. "Load management," Malone scoffed. "Taking nights off because you're tired? We played 82 games every single year. We played through injuries, we played through pain, and we didn't make excuses about it. These guys today want all the glory with half the work." He wasn't just talking about LeBron specifically here, but the implication was clear. LeBron has missed significant games in recent seasons due to rest and injury management. For Malone, that's unacceptable. You want to be called the greatest? Then show up every single night. Malone also addressed the media's role in protecting LeBron's image. The media crowns guys now before they've earned it. LeBron's been called the GOAT since he was 25 years old. Michael Jordan didn't get that treatment. Kareem didn't get that treatment. We had to prove it over and over again. But LeBron? The media decided his legacy for him. This is where things get personal, because Malone's right about one thing. LeBron has been protected by a certain section of the media. His failures get spun as learning experiences. His teammates get blamed for losses. His super team moves get framed as smart business decisions. Meanwhile, guys like Malone get labeled as ringless failures, even though they gave everything they had.
In my era, Malone continued, you didn't choose championships, you earned them. And if you didn't win, you lived with that. You didn't jump ship, you didn't blame everybody else. You looked in the mirror and came back hungrier. That's the difference between my generation and this one. Those words hit different, because whether you agree with Malone or not, you can't deny the conviction behind them. This isn't jealousy. This is a man defending the integrity of an era that he believes was tougher, grittier, and more authentic than what we see today.
So why do Malone's words cut so deep? Because they touch on the one thing LeBron has never been able to fully escape, the question of how he won his championships. Let's look at the resume. 4 NBA championships, 4 Finals MVPs, all-time leading scorer, 10 Finals appearances. On paper, it's untouchable, but dig a little deeper and the cracks start to show. Miami. LeBron joined forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to form a super team. They went to 4 straight finals and won 2 championships. But even LeBron's biggest fans can't deny that he didn't build that team, he joined it. He left his home to take the easier path. Cleveland, the return. LeBron came back and won a championship in 2016, and that's the one ring that silences most critics. Coming back from 3-1 down against a 73-win team? Legendary. But let's not forget, he also convinced the front office to trade for Kevin Love and brought Kyrie Irving along for the ride. That wasn't a one-man mission. That was another hand-picked roster. Then there's the move to the Lakers. Anthony Davis requested a trade, and LeBron was waiting with open arms. Another superstar duo. Another championship in 2020. But even that ring has an asterisk in some people's minds because of the bubble. This is the LeBron GM narrative that Malone is tapping into. The idea that LeBron doesn't just play the game, he controls it. He decides who gets traded, who gets signed, who gets minutes. And for a guy like Karl Malone, who played within the system and trusted his front office, that's not how legends are supposed to operate. There's also the comparison to Michael Jordan, which LeBron can never escape. Jordan never left to form a super team. He stayed with one organization and won 6 championships. He never lost in the finals. He never needed to team up with his rivals to get rings. And whether that's fair or not, that's the standard LeBron gets measured against. Fans are split down the middle. LeBron's supporters point to his longevity, his all-around game, his ability to elevate everyone around him. They say he's the most complete player ever. But the old-school crowd, they see a guy who gamed the system, a guy who was crowned too early and never had to prove himself the hard way. And that brings us to the one question LeBron can't escape, the question Karl Malone is really asking. Would LeBron have survived in the 90s? Would he have thrived in an era with no super teams, no load management, and no media protection? Or would he have been just another great player who couldn't get it done? So here's where things get interesting. As of right now, LeBron hasn't responded. No tweets, no Instagram posts, no cryptic subtweets, just silence. And that silence is speaking volumes. LeBron is a master of controlling the narrative. He's one of the most media-savvy athletes in history. So the fact that he hasn't clapped back yet means one of two things. Either he's choosing to rise above it and let his game do the talking, or Malone's words hit closer to home than he'd like to admit. Other legends have started weighing in too. Some are defending LeBron, pointing to his incredible body of work and sustained excellence over 2 decades. Others are co-signing Malone's take, saying it's about time somebody said what everyone's been thinking. The internet, of course, is a war zone. LeBron stans are calling Malone bitter, washed, and jealous. They're bringing up the fact that Malone never won a ring, throwing it in his face like it invalidates everything he's saying. But here's the thing. Not having a ring doesn't mean Malone doesn't understand greatness. In fact, it might mean he understands the sacrifice even better than guys who got theirs. On the flip side, old-school fans are rallying behind Malone. They're tired of the media crowning LeBron without acknowledging the advantages he's had. They're tired of the narrative that rings are the only thing that matters, unless we're talking about guys like Malone, in which case rings suddenly become everything. So what's Karl Malone's real motivation here? Is he protecting the integrity of the game? Is he standing up for a generation of players who feel disrespected by today's superstars? Or is there something deeper going on? Maybe it's a little bit of jealousy. Maybe it's frustration that his era doesn't get the respect it deserves. Or maybe, just maybe, Malone sees something the rest of us don't want to admit. Because here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about LeBron. This is about how the NBA has changed. It's about player empowerment versus organizational loyalty. It's about manufactured legacies versus earned ones. It's about whether we value dominance or longevity, team success or individual stats. Karl Malone's comments force us to ask uncomfortable questions. What does earning it really mean? Is it about staying loyal to one team, or is it about winning championships by any means necessary? Is LeBron's ability to recruit superstars a strength or a weakness? And who gets to decide what makes someone the greatest of all time? Legacy is written by winners, that's what they say. But in LeBron's case, his legacy is being written by media narratives, by social media debates, and now by legends like Karl Malone who refuse to stay silent. The truth is, this conversation isn't going away. LeBron's career is winding down. He's chasing ghosts now. Jordan's legacy, Kareem's scoring record, the mythical status of being the undisputed GOAT. And every step he takes, there's someone like Karl Malone waiting to remind him that greatness isn't given, it's earned. So where do we go from here? Does LeBron respond and defend himself, risking a back and forth that could get ugly? Or does he stay silent and let history be the judge? And more importantly, do Karl Malone's words change anything? Or are we all just screaming into the void, trying to defend our own version of what greatness looks like? At the end of the day, Karl Malone said what a lot of people have been thinking for years. Whether you agree with him or not, you can't ignore the conversation he started. LeBron James is one of the greatest to ever do it. Nobody can take that away from him. But did he earn it the way legends before him did? Or did he rewrite the rules to fit his own narrative? That's the question we're all wrestling with. And honestly, there's no right answer. It depends on what you value. Loyalty or championships, grit or intelligence, suffering through losses or finding a way to win no matter what it takes. But here's what I want to know. Where do you stand? Did Karl Malone cross the line, or did he finally say what needed to be said? Is LeBron's legacy untouchable, or does Malone have a point? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's settle this once and for all. And if you made it this far, you're obviously a real one. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications because this drama is far from over. LeBron's silence won't last forever, and when he finally responds, you know we'll be here to break it all down. This is just the beginning. The war for basketball legacy has officially started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.